the Naira swap and Mr. Obaseki's familiar part of perfidy. The Edo State chapter of the All Progressive Congress, APC, sympathized with commercial banks in part of Benin City as a result of the violence meted out to their premises yesterday, Wednesday, the 15th of February 2023, by angry Edo people. We also commiserate with families who lost their loved ones due to the unfortunate incident. Our position is that the peaceful protest by the banking public was probably hijacked by sponsored political talks of the disabled Obaseki-led PDP government in the state. There is no doubt that the public reaction followed the decision by Mr. Obaseki to join forces with the anti-people elements opposing the Supreme Court ruling restraining the federal government from implementing the CBN's February 10 deadline for the swapping of the old Naira notes with the new ones. The Supreme Court had on Wednesday joined 9 states as parties in the suit earlier filed by Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara state government challenging the Naira swap deadline. But Katsina, Cross River, Lagos, Ondo, Ogun, Ekiti, and Sokoto states became the 6 additional states who joined as co-plaintiffs, while only Edo and Bayelsa joined as co-respondents. For us in the APC, the mobilization on the street of Benin City yesterday is a reaction to Mr. Obaseki's familiar part of perfidy, insensitivity, and wickedness, which is both anti-people and criminal. The very erroneous decision by Godwin Obaseki to ally himself with the anti-people policy of the CBN amidst the plight and suffering of Edo people who are distraught over the inability to get cash from the bank further infuriated our people. The action is typical of Mr. Obaseki as a trademark policy for wasting Edo taxpayers' funds through litigations, which over the years have become the governor's conduit pipe for siphoning the dwindling resources of Edo people, even when he knows that his judicial adventures can run into ditches that will only bring embarrassment to the state. But he does not care. A government whose primary responsibility is the welfare of its citizens will take and join forces with anti-people element to further punish and inflict pains on the people it's supposed to govern. This is not only unfortunate, it's also very disgusting. This accounts for the unilateral decision he took on the litigation and in his capacity as the sole administrator of Edo State, whereas he has more than once verbalized his confusion about the entire CBN policy since it was mooted last year. Recall that late last year, Mr. Obaseki said the CBN decision was political and argued that as a self-acclaimed economist, the policy by the federal government and the Central Bank of Nigeria has no basis. His words, and I quote, "This is purely political. There is nothing urgent in changing our currency today." But last week, Mr. Obaseki swallowed his vomit and described the CBN decision as the right one for the nation's economy. What a sudden somersault. He said, "It is the best thing for our banking system." So the Edo State government has no problem with the policy of the federal government to move our economy to a cashless one. It was this demonstration of confusion that the governor translated to the litigation at Supreme Court that infuriated many an Edo person on Wednesday. As a matter of fact, Edo people are aware that this act of insensitivity embarked upon by Mr. Obaseki and his government is one action too many and is bound to make Edo a laughingstock. It will be another wastage and conduit pipe through which the resources of Edo people will be further siphoned by the disabled Obaseki-led PDP administration. On the accusation by the governor through his aides that Mr. Obaseki's predecessor and former national chairman of our party, Oshiomole, instigated the protest over the cashless policy, we find it funny because as a popular governor who left his footprints on the side of times in governance in the state, Oshiomole cannot instigate protests to destroy his own legacies. Edo people know that the frustrated faction of the PDP, whose days are numbered in the state, is responsible for the protest. Coming days after he boasted that he has held high-level talk with CBN officials and that banks in Edo will soon be flowing in billions of new Naira notes, the protesters were obviously disappointed. Matters were compounded where the land of the governor stands on the Supreme Court case. The Obaseki PDP in Edo State, in whatever version he presents itself, be it rusted metals, iron benders, or serial betrayers, have seen the handwriting already on the wall. that come February 25, 2023, Edo people who are patiently waited will use their PVCs to disgrace it. Obaseki will lose the presidential election in the state and, in fact, the entire country. So it has orchestrated this mayhem of violent protests as a distraction to move which is bound to fail. As we speak, Obaseki has gathered several POS operators who are his cronies and some bank officials to Government House with a directive that more monies be allotted these operators for all transmission to the SSG for anticipated vote buying in the upcoming general elections. By taking side with CBN on this anti-people policy, Obaseki has finally unmasked himself as the real enemy of Edo people. I'm sure if you saw or read through the APC manifestos of 2019, you didn't see anything like currency change. So what is happening today is not APC policy. It's the policy of Central Bank Governor, MFLA. So he has to tell Nigerians why he has decided to inflict pain and hardship on our people. APC as a party is not against currency change. What we want and what the public wants, that this money should be available in banks so that people can have access to it. It's this lack of fund, inability to access the new money, that is causing anger among our people. And of course, an angry man is a hungry man. This is not APC's policy. Politicians belong to several political divides. For politicians within APC, we have been putting our heads together, and you must have heard from our leadership several statements, suggestions to move CBN forward, to save our people from this what we call inflicted policy by CBN. So that is what we can do. But for the other side, we do not understand. But what is bothering us as a party? Why many APC progressive governors have gone to court to defend our people? Those in opposition are clapping for CBN. I think that kind of collusion is pregnant. And you as journalists, you investigate and find out why this sudden romance between MFLA CBN and opposition governors, especially Edo and Bayelsa. To a curious mind, there must be something fishy. I know Obaseki very well for him to make a sudden somersault from criticizing to CBN to now become a co-defendant with CBN. There is something fishy. There's an underlying factor that the public is here to know. Nobody's against currency swap or currency they design. The implementation of the policy is what is faulty. Make money available. This is simple administration. This is not the first time we are changing currencies in this country. Before you talk of implementation, all the strategies must be put in place to ensure that Nigerians do not undergo untold hardship. Print more money, allot money to banks, so that Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians, can have access to their hard-earned money. So that is just the missing link. Policy without implementation.